All right, just waiting for this to. I'm not sure if it's live yet. Just double checking here. Let's see. Oh yeah. I think we're good now. Yeah, just 1 sec. I just want to make sure. I just want to get this out of the way, and not sure why it takes a little longer now. Anyways, guys, it looks like we are good to go. Hey there, everyone, and we are back in action. This is the Xbox Roundtable Podcast, episode number 209. Welcome, all of you, to tonight's show. And of course, I'm your host, Invader, and we've got some fun things to talk about tonight. Halo Infinite has officially launched. We'll talk about, the campaign and just the overall reaction to it, whether it be from critics or just the fan base. Also, a big night for Xbox during the Video Game Awards. We'll get into all of the, we'll go through the different categories, winners, reveals, and more. But first, of course, I need to introduce everyone on tonight's show. And let's see, going over to the panel. First up, joining us tonight is, a familiar face. He's been on here, a couple of months before. Our buddy from the Xbox community. Please welcome Xbox University. Uni buddy, how you been?
I'm fine. Thank you all so much for having me again. Exciting times in the Xbox community right now. Xbox is giving us so much games. I'm actually kind of mad because it's more than I ever had. It's great to be an Xbox gamer. I wish I was growing up in this time right now, man.
Yeah, totally. I know we're starting to get a little spoiled here, but honestly, I don't mind at all. This is great, and yeah, believe me, I can't wait to dive into Halo and all the other stuff. But yeah, it's good to have you on, brother. Moving on to the TXR panel members, I'll start off with Centurion buddy. Hey, how you been the past week?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, but it's Sunday night. It's time for the TXR Podcast. We got ourselves a Halo release, Video Game Awards, more games than we can possibly play. I'm trying to juggle playing Halo Infinite and Chorus at the same time, so definitely ready to have a conversation tonight, that is for sure.
Good point. I keep forgetting about Chorus, but everybody keeps, I've been seeing different clips and pics of it circling around, and it's got my attention, but honestly, Halo. That's what I'm focused on.
If I could at least just kind of not, I know everybody's excited for Halo, but if you are going to buy Chorus, probably wait for the first patch. There's definitely some buggy issues in the mission structure. And I mean, I've even picked up on them. I've watched a couple videos on it. If you leave the game idle for an hour and come back to start playing it, it actually will everything will be effed up. We'll just say that. The mission markers won't work right. I've even had some mission markers disappear. It's a really awesome game, but definitely there's a few issues that need to be patched out.
Good to know. Well, I'll keep my eye on that game. Tim buddy, hey, how you been?
Really good. What a week. Xbox is kicking ass. And I'm glad that we have Xbox University on. Always nice to have him. It's good times right now. We're just glowing, for an Xbox. It's, they've been hitting all the tunes and they've been hitting all the notes. So we're going to talk about it tonight. Halo is the best.
Oh yeah, it's back, baby. Halo is back. All right, down the list here, Shockley buddy. Hey, how's your weekend been? You doing all right?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Just ready to get into these topics with Halo, give our thoughts on it, and but yeah, I was hoping to get it finished before the gunk, but that is not going to happen. So that one's maybe going to start in January. But yeah, ready to get into these topics tonight.
No doubt. And to round this sucker out, General MLD, my friend. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, doing pretty good here. We are definitely spoiled for choice these days. About 5 hours in Halo Infinite. I wish I had more, but been crazy busy this week. But also when I'm watching the baby, I tend to be playing Stardew Valley. By far my biggest surprise hit on Game Pass this year.
I don't know
played
how because
that.
I put 500 hours on the one for the Switch, so I don't even want to get close to it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and this is my first time. All these updates and patches and content drops later. Like I am hooked on this just as much. So like wow, like Game Pass is really delivering this generation. So, but of course, Halo Infinite is well. I mean, we'll get into it. Let's do this.
Real quick, gentlemen. One more thing that you want to avoid if you don't want to get hooked. There's a new game called Simulator. It is too addictive. Once you start that game, you get like OCD and you like I gotta finish this little part and I gotta do and there's always next and next and you'll spend like hundreds of hours in it. Trust me.
I'll keep that in mind.
Good to know. Yeah, I think I did see that pop up on Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I will avoid that like the plague until at least after, at least until we're into January. Let's see, guys. Before we start out the show, be sure to share this out to everyone you know. We appreciate you all, and you know what, it would just be really great if more of you could be around. So share it, like it, and subscribe. Also hit up the notifications because hey, it would be great to know whenever we go live, right? All right, fellas, let's kick things off by talking about a little no-name title that released earlier this week called Halo Infinite. Yeah, the game is officially out and seems to be getting more positive impressions from fans and media alike. I really want to get the panel's thoughts on the game since I'm pretty sure everyone here has been playing it or in the middle of playing it. I know I'm still early on. But you know what? I will start off with our guest this evening, Xbox Uni. Buddy, how are you enjoying it? Actually, have you been playing it? And if so, have you been really enjoying your time with it so far?
Yes, I've been playing it. I haven't gotten too far in it. I've put in like I would say like 7 or 8 hours, but I'm on Legendary, so I expect it to take like 80, 100. I expect it to take a while because it is very, very difficult, especially some of the bosses or whatever. There's this one part by a bridge I had to do like 20 times, but until I learned to go around the other side with the grappling hook or whatever the case may be. But it is the thing that I love about it is if this game released just as the campaign, it would be able to compete with some of the biggest games out here. If it just released just with multiplayer, like um what you call it, like what Battlefield did, it would be able to compete on that level. But the fact that it comes with both sides is just to me. You know how they always have these impossible expectations for Halo. Halo needs to be the perfect game. Halo needs to have every game mode, every animation, Halo. The Halo needs to be everything and more. And you're never gonna hit those expectations. But to me, the thing that I love the most is that they delivered a game that does what games are supposed to do, which is give you joy and fun. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you want to do, you're having fun. And I know a lot of people are mad about the progression, rightfully so. But the thing I don't understand is the gripes about the monetization. Now I understand some of the stuff are too expensive. I get that, but why are you crying over what you call it? Like stuff that you don't even need to play the game. They're not keeping any gun behind a paywall. They're not keeping any stage behind a paywall. I remember when I used to get Call of Duty, you had like 3 months before they drop a DLC, and if you don't have that DLC, you can't play with none of your friends that have the DLC. So you always feel this FOMO because they cut off parts of their base. And to me, I love the fact that 343 didn't do that. And they are listening to us next week. We're gonna get the update with the Slayer finally and the FFA, but I'm sure we're gonna hit on that. But I'm sorry for being so long-winded. It's just like it's a great game.
Speak your mind. That's what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an amazing game, and I think it deserves higher than 87. But I understand where we are now in this industry. They're gonna grade it based on Halo. They're basically rating Halo against other Halos and not Halo against the other FPSs in the genre. Because if you look at the landscape with COD and Battlefield and whatever, Slipgate or whatever, Halo is by far and away the best FPS period on the market. So for you to tell me that it only gets an 8 out of 7, some people give it a 7 or 6, I'm like, so what game are you playing? What FPS is getting your goat? Because Halo is the best FPS out here on the market. Period. So if the best isn't good enough for you, what are you playing? Let me get in on that. But that's them. They're gonna rate. They can rate a game like Ratchet and Clank, which was a good game, but it was only like 12 hours or whatever, and it didn't come with no co-op. It didn't have no Forge mode. It didn't have no multiplayer. It didn't have no theater mode. It didn't have none of these stuff that they all expect from Halo day one, right? But somehow that could get an 88.
Yeah,
Somehow that could get almost a
think
90.
I think the sevens that took it down. I don't know. I don't think. I think that everyone's entitled to opinion, but you knew that you would get some of those takes.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. That's why I told
You
people
know,
don't live
The
off
thing
of
is that
Metacritic.
right, it's a different time. For it to get 87, it's in a different time. It's just it's very impressive. It's better than 4 by a mile, and I liked 4. I mean, this is for me rivaling, and I'm not finished, but it's rivaling 3, 2, 1. I mean, it's its own Halo, and I think that that's the great thing about it is that's what we all feel. I like when you play it, it evolved, and they hit it, and I'm happy for 343 because it wasn't the easiest development.
Like, I'm still pretty early in, probably about 4.5 hours, and I've been really taking my time combing over certain areas and just exploring, really. I just finished the Ransom Keep Tower mission, and
Right.
I really, I just thought that was so cool where you have to, again, I won't go into too much detail, but the
Time when you're done.
yeah, that's just the boss fight, and I really like how the different bosses or mini bosses, how they really antagonize.
Yeah.
They really egg you on, and I really like that. They really seem like bad guys.
They say a lot of shit too. If you listen to them, I'm getting my ass kicked by one particular one. I don't want we're not gonna go into spoilers, but yeah, they really antagonize you, and they say some funny shit too.
Yeah, and that's I really enjoyed that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. They're really they're really trying to take on the chief and whatnot, and just belittle him, and it's great. It's great dialogue. I think it's a really nice step up in that way. But not even just the enemy interactions, but I am genuinely so far enjoying all the exploration because again I've been taking my time just going over all the nooks and crannies, and I'm just like, oh, I can go over there, and I don't know if you guys noticed or how often you guys played Halos, but there used to be a lot of restrictions in the campaign, even just for exploring and whatnot. They put different walls in and so on. It kind of sucked in that regard. Granted, this is more open, but they're really allowing you to explore and just again go at your own pace. And you want to go to that rock formation, you want to climb that mountain, go right ahead. You want to take in that view, go right ahead. Oh, and then there's a little banished patrol going through. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take them out, and so on. Or again, oh, there's a propaganda tower. Okay, I'll go with that. And then there's all kinds of other hidden stuff as well, and I'm just exploring. And it's not so much that I'm forgetting about the campaign missions. It's just the game, the world. It's encouraging me to go out because
stuff out there.
Well, not just that, but Tim, I mean, you probably agree with me here. The world is just generally the ring itself. They've made it genuinely interesting to explore with the different landmarks and visuals. The day-night cycle too, I just find really. It has a nice touch to it. You just feel like you're on a living, vibrant world. I remember I was going down this little ravine area, and then I see these little chicken things running around, and then these little rodents, and it's not just a couple. There's a whole crap ton. Yeah. So it does look like a really vibrant living world, and I can just really appreciate that. And there's all these little details. I remember, guys, I was it's in the area that you start out in. I'm just exploring around. I'm on top of this mountainy area, and I'm just I'm looking at this field with all these golden flowers, and I'm just taking in the sight because the skybox, the land, everything about it just looks very nicely done. So like honestly, like my hats off to 343 on like the art
I
direction.
understand what you're saying. Especially
Graphics are unbelievable.
like the grass and the grass and the foliage at the bottom. Like I find myself just staring at how lush the environment is, and I'm like, they were really over exaggerating. But you know, it's Xbox, so I'm not even surprised. Like, what Xbox got a little warm, and now they're talking about it's gonna burn down apartments. You know, anything with Xbox, they just always go over the deep end. But the way they talked about Halo, like Halo's gonna look so terrible and so trash. But as soon as I went out on the ring, I was like, this place looks amazing. Like it's living and breathing to a point that, dare I say, not even Breath of the Wild felt this. Cause there's a lot of parts of Breath of the Wild that felt just pure empty, like nothing is there. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's how it's supposed to be because of the rolling hills and fields or whatever. But on Halo, there always seems like there's something interesting to see on the ring. There always seems like something on the ring gonna pull your attention. Either is it the beautiful vistas, or when you go up on the top of the mountain and look over, and then the grapple hook. The grapples. Can we all just give some credit to 343 for the grapple shot shall never leave Halo ever again. It is so fundamental to what differentiates Halo Infinite from every other Halo, because I could get my Spider-Man on, for lack of a better phrase. Like it works with so many things. It works with those blasted jackals and their shields. It works when you need to get out of dodge. It works when you need to make an approach from off the cliff or from a different direction that you would never be able to do in any other Halo. Like this Halo, when you fall off the stage, you got the grapple shot, you're like, I'm good. I got this. We back out here, boys. Especially when you got the power up to stop the cooldown to basically make you can use it whenever you want. Man, I think it's a little too good, because it makes you don't even want to use any other tool or whatever the case may be. But like I said, like it's to me, the ring itself, I can't wait to see. Now I haven't finished the game at all, but I'm pretty sure that this isn't anywhere close to. I can't wait to see what other stuff they add to the Halo, because it's a live service game over the next 5 or however long years. I just hope they don't do it like GTA, because we're gonna riot. If I don't, yes, you can upgrade the multiplayer, but don't do the GTA nonsense where you ignore the single player for 10 years.
Nah, that's not happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They got a plan. They got a plan. This is gonna go a long time, but you'll get campaigns. You'll get
and let's see some
It's gonna be done right. I really feel like they're on the right track now. They just had to launch this, and then that's it.
Yeah, I am very what's the word I'm looking for? I am very confident in them, because what they did with Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves launched pathetically. But now Sea of Thieves is one of the best multiplayer games you can play, period, anywhere. So, and that's 3 short years. So I'm like, Halo launched in a good spot. Like Halo launched at a 9 out of 10 for me.
You're right.
So imagine 3 years from now, what the hell is gonna be when it got Forge, when it got all these other stuff.
Probably will get Battle Royale, I think. I mean, I know it's
of course, yeah. I keep telling people, why are you mad if they put in that mode? You don't have to play that mode.
Right.
Like, what?
Right. It'll just be a mode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a mode. It's gonna be a Battle Royale mode. I don't like SWAT. I don't play SWAT. I don't like Oddball. I'm not gonna play Oddball. You don't like VR, then don't play.
Right. Exactly.
Why are people playing?
I think that's the way they'll do it. And they'll just be like Big Team Battle, Slayer, or freaking that.
They'll call it something else. They call it something else other than
Halo Endless or whatever.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like but I love the direction they're going. This is the best start for any live service game they have made so far. Even though, to be fair, to put some criticism on them, I don't understand how you launch the game without simple things like free for all or Slayer playlist. That's unacceptable. But it's coming very quickly. It's coming within a week of launch, so I'll let it slide. But that's unacceptable. Like, and the 4 that they gave us is just scratching the bare minimum. What about the stuff like Team Snipers, Team Swords,
Shoddy Snipers? Yeah, like
there's so many other modes. Like that's what separates to me what separates Halo from every other shooter out there is two things. One, it's about skill. You can have the better, well, to a point. Because if you get a rocket launcher, you can do really. But to a point where Halo seems like the only game, FPS game, that I can run into you, and you can catch me with my back turned. But if I'm better than you, I can reverse that and kill you 9 times out of 10. So that is one of the hallmarks of Halo. And another hallmark of Halo is, to me, basically Halo is the only game to me that respects their player base with the modes. Like I can go and play Halo and play a different type of mode, and then that's not even including Forge stuff. That's the crazy part. We're just talking about like snipers, shotties, or SWAT, or you know what I'm saying, like things like that. And now, like what you said, they could add VR or whatever. Like Halo could be like literally the biggest, most like sweet multiplayer suite. Halo Infinite could be the biggest one. I just hope that the game don't get to a point where it's 300 gigabytes, like how what you call
Warzone.
it is. Warzone, yeah. Just as long as they don't get like that, or because maybe they can let you install whatever part of the game you want. Like if you want to install the campaign only, or the multiplayer only, or doing certain parts of the multiplayer, because I can't take no 300 gigabyte game. That's capped. But that's something for later on.
Yeah, especially with the internal drives, the size of them on the Series X, right? So, oh man. But yeah, I do have my fair share of criticisms too, especially on like the multiplayer side. Don't get me wrong, I do really enjoy the multiplayer, but I don't want to drag the conversation down with it because we've talked about this before on the show. But yeah, I'm really kind of sour on, like, you can't like mix and match like the armor like colors with the and the cores, like the armor cores, the armor and such. But that's probably for another conversation. But I really hope that they do address a lot of things down the line. But I would love to hear like some other guys on the panel's thoughts, like whoever's played the campaign. MLD, I know you've spent some time with the campaign too, probably around the same as me from the sounds of things. How are you liking it so far?
Yeah, from the sounds of it, I think you and me are exactly at the same point. I just recently beat the second boss, not to go into spoilers, but there's so many things that are fresh and they're done right, and I don't want it's like I don't want to go back to the old ways. Like, I like this edition of boss battles. How they built up this personality. The writing's actually very, very good. A big step up from Halo 5, that's for sure. Like, it puts weight to these boss encounters, so I really enjoy that. The writing, like Chief, he doesn't talk as much. He only says what needs to be said. Has some great one-liners that I'm sure we will be repeating years later. The pilot, he has that pessimistic human approach. Cortana's like the comic relief. I like the new Cortana. I feel like there's a lot of room for this dynamic for her and Chief to grow and like become like another like the next like dynamic duo, if you will, right? I like that there's a lot of mystery going on. Of course they glossed over a lot of things after Halo 5, and they're just drip feeding you this information, but that's okay, because as a lore guy myself, I read all the books. I know all the lore that rivals that of the Halo YouTubers out there. Not to toot my own horn, but lately it feels like there's no mystery anymore. It feels like we've figured out all the Forerunners, all their secrets out. We've gone back to a Halo game where things are mysterious again, where there's questions again, and I love that. It's like a back to basics approach. We are exactly where we were at in Halo 1, thinking to ourselves, who are these Forerunners? Why did they build this? All that stuff. And I'm sure like we're gonna get campaign expansions down the line that are gonna shake things up, expand the story, and all that stuff. But right now, I'm just soaking it in right now. It's not open world. We all know that, but it feels open world. Like I just spent a lot of time just running around, grapple shotting up mountains and looking around, like just to see what's going on, what's out there. Like I'm doing all the side objectives, which I think they don't seem grindy to me. I love them. Like I do these assassination missions, and the perk of that, if you kill the leader, you get their weapon of choice at the forward operating bases. Mm-hmm. So it's like I got an energy sword now. like on demand. Like, and as the game goes by, you can get better stuff. Like, eventually, we'll be able to get tanks in the campaign, like on demand. So, and it's just for rewarding exploration. I love it. It's exact. I love this change. I really do. The gameplay is on point. The best gunplay like in a long time with Halo. The enemies are great. Like the grunts are hilarious. Like they made them funny again. There's so many lines. I haven't heard the same line twice from the enemies, which is good. Like they really
heard the scream, the bloody murder scream from the grunt.
Wow. Oh yeah, screams aside. I mean,
there's a specific one there. Like, holy shit! Whoever did that scream.
I did not know that yet.
I've seen a clip of them throwing one of the brutes do a grunt at Master Chief like up the tower. It's crazy. I was like, how they gonna do the that? The girl was crying.
Oh, I encountered that too for the first time today. Like it was like whoa, like the grunt just does the suicide grunt charge. The brute just picks him up and chucks him at me. Grapple. Yeah, the grapple shot's amazing. Like you get, like the university said before, I use it to explore, but I also use it to get away. I use it to attack. Like there's so many uses. Like of all the games that use a grapple shot, I think the Halos is by far the most. You could get the most uses out of it. That's for sure. Like I don't use the threat detector or the other stuff anymore. Like it's just the grapple shot. Like that's so fun.
Well, it's funny you say that too, because during that one boss fight that we were mentioning, like they really want you to use the threat detector, which it is very useful. But I just used the grapple shot. I just found it easier to like maneuver around. So.
Oh yeah, same here. The Cortana kept trying to nudge you to like use the threat sensor, but nah, I just got some like you pick up some fusion coils, you just chuck them in the general direction, without going any further detail. It was a good fight, like not using the threat sensor. It was like fighting a predator, like
yes.
There's this little sense of suspense and a little bit of tension in the air.
Oh, totally. No,
I'm loving this so far.
Yeah, me too. Centurion, my quiet friend, I know you've been listening to all of us kind of ramble on here. What's your thoughts? Have you been playing it?
Yes, I've been playing it. I thought it'd be fun to just kind of sit back, listen to everybody, soak in what they had to say. I mean, I could definitely go on all day on different aspects of what's going on with this game, like what's going on with the Metacritic. Part of what's going on with the Metacritic is the most fundamental flaw of Metacritic of all, and that's what I've always been against, and that's their shit-ass algorithm. They basically, we're going to use Jeff Grubb as an example. When somebody personally came at him for reviewing Returnal by Metacritic standards at a 70, but he actually gave it a 3 out of 5, and by the way, Metacritic algorithms things, well, on a 5-point system, everything is 20 points, and so therefore it gave it a 70. And that's one of the big fundamental flaws of Metacritic is that their algorithm is absolute trash. It's not meant for this. People's livelihoods should not fall on Metacritic. I have always been against Metacritic. I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist, but I've never been a big fan of how they do things just because I've already seen the flaws through the algorithm just by studying exactly what Metacritic does. On to Halo. It's a very great game. It definitely is deserving of all the accolades that everybody's giving it. Going out to the criticism, to the people that like to overly criticize things or expect way too much, in my opinion, online. If you're going to be making expectations like that or making criticisms on that scale, you better have your job on lockdown. You better not. If I was to walk into your job tomorrow, I better not find one damn thing wrong with your performance or how you do your job. But in today's world, it's hard to even find a person that can correctly make French fries, in my opinion. There's always. Excuse me? You said what?
No, I was saying that you assume that they have a job, but
no, I would agree. I'm not. Well, I will never. That's another argument, but I'm just gonna say that definitely whenever I go out, I find people always slipping in customer service, other aspects of things that going on in stores. I even walk into my own department that I'm in charge of at my job, and I stand there and be like, I could do that better. I can do this better. There's always room for improvement. And that's what Halo is doing, at least the developers over at 343. They're acknowledging what's going on with the game. They're acknowledging all the, we'll say complaints, but also all the criticisms and all the input that are coming from the community. They understand what they want, but also at the same time, I do feel kind of bad for some of the developers over there, because there was, in my opinion, some horrible mismanagement over at 343 by a few years ago. Whatever happened, they went in, changed a few things, brought in a couple of great people to help stabilize it. If anything is to be said about what Jason Schreier put out there on how the game kind of got scrapped and all this, that, and the other happened, I almost want to applaud 343, at least the developers over there, because they obviously stayed the course. They could have thrown their hands up and said F it, but they didn't. They did everything they could to get the game over the finish line in the condition that it was. And in my opinion, I think that's a really good condition. I mean, we got really great graphics. We actually have a very good, solid multiplayer experience that just needs a little bit of expansion and some fine tuning when it comes to modes and stuff like that. But the campaign, I feel like, really hit the nail on the head, at least for me. When I was first watching the trailers, I got those Far Cry vibes, but I feel bad comparing it to Far Cry, coming just off of Far Cry 6. But I feel they did it better than Far Cry. Like that first outpost you go to where they're dismantling UNC materials to basically to create their own. It feels like the bases actually have a purpose and a meaning.
Yeah, spoilers, but go ahead.
No, I'm not that. To me, I'm not even giving anything on that. I'm just saying that the bases actually feel like they have meaning. It wasn't you're just dropped on a Halo ring, go capture points A, B, C, and D. They actually have a purpose to their existence. There's a reason why there's bases to be captured. There's reasons why there's these points that you're going to use to establish yourself. And you're just not going in to capture points to capture them. There's an actual reason for their existence. Also, on top of that, the high value targets and how there's personality to some of the leaders that actually lead what's going on in these outside of the bosses. The boss fights are absolutely excellent. I mean, that first one you go through before you even really kind of get on the ring, and you're just like, wow, this is totally unique and different for Halo. I'm excited for this.
Makes me feel like I started to think about all the other Halos. I'm like, why was this never in all the other Halos before? Like, why did it take like the sixth one? Like, I just feel like yeah, there was no mini bosses and stuff like this, like in the old ones. And I'm like, it seems so simple that, but you know, hey, it is what it is.
Well, it's going beyond what Halo originally did. With Halo, I mean, let's really think about it. In the first game, we had Master Chief and the head elite guy that eventually became the Arbiter. Then we had the Arbiter, who eventually led to a main brute character. But those were really it outside of the Prophets. You never saw them acknowledge a grunt or a jackal, and that's where these high-value targets come in. I was completely surprised that one of the high-value targets was a grunt that had his own personal name, his own little personal blaster. And I mean, I knew that there was going to be equipment involved in going after these high-value targets. I thought it was going to be like armor, but it turns out, at least from right now for me, it's collecting certain weapons, which I'm a nut for collectathons and just grinding out everything you can in an area before you tackle the story missions. And that's where I just feel that this new breath that Halo has been giving into the franchise is really kind of hitting it off for me. I'm more excited about Halo than I ever have been since Halo 3. And they really did a very good job, in my opinion. Yes, there's some tweaking, but not at any time am I going to drag them down and say that this was horrible, that was horrible, and it should have been this, that, and the other. Because for any of that to take place, we would have had to probably have another delay involved just to get it to the point where everybody says it should be. And I don't really feel that's necessary. And I'm not saying that games need to be coming out broken, but the game did not come out broken. It just came out lacking a few features that can be added over time. And that's where, like, one of the biggest criticisms, like Forge wasn't there when it was launched. If memory serves me right, Forge wasn't there when Halo 5 came out. these are sometimes things that just get added afterwards. I remember the original Division game was not exactly all that great, but over time, by adding content and taking input from the community, the Division became a very awesome, great game. And I feel this is the same thing that can be said for Halo. And we all know about how Microsoft and the executives over there and 343 are listening to the community, especially Microsoft and the executives. They actually do a good job of listening to the community. They're very active with the community that supports them. They're not stoically silent like other brands. We see Larry Erb and other Phil Spencer and other members of the executive family over there actually active on social media and engaging with people.
Shout out to what's her name? Shout out to Sarah Bond, by the way. You feel me? But go ahead, my bad.
No,
I had to
yeah.
get that in there.
Well, like one of the stories that I heard about over the week was about how a very, very large Halo fan decided to put out a tweet about himself, about how he had to work the day Halo came out, and he took a photo in front of, I guess, a very immaculate Halo collection. And the developers over at 343 made some phone calls, and they made it to where this individual was given a code to play the game a day early before all of us, just because they support
Awesome.
the community. I mean, that's just something
That's
very
awesome.
touching. And that's where I feel Halo is in good hands with 343. I have always championed and said that keep Bungie the F away from Halo, because they love to take away content, where I feel the developers over at 343 respect the players of the game, and they don't want to go down that avenue of doing things to the game that are going to completely alienate the fan base. All they're trying to do is obviously get the game out now and give us stuff that we mention or have criticisms about. I could go on all day, but I'm very happy with what's going on with Halo. I've enjoyed the story that I've played so far. I just got past the first, I guess the second boss, you would say. But that's where, I mean, I want to play more of the game. I just haven't had much time because I work way too damn much.
Yeah, well, I'm in the same position, so I'm a little further down than you, but I agree, though. 343 really does deserve a lot of credit. And for a studio that a lot of people were saying was done and sucks, they're one of their most valuable right now. They did a great job here.
I just want to build off that point you were saying before about Bungie. As a lore fan, I'm glad Bungie's not with Halo anymore, because they referred to Halo Wars as a soulless cash grab, and they disregarded the entire extended universe when writing Halo Reach's story. So, and then you got Destiny 1 story, which we all know was terrible. I'm glad 343, despite their missteps, they have an attention to the detail with the lore. And I feel like after some Halo 5 missteps, they're back on the right track. So I think
343 isn't perfect. 343 isn't
Yeah.
perfect, but one thing I can say is that they damn sure a better studio than Bungie. Bungie
Yeah.
caught lightning in the bottle, right?
Right.
For the first three games, right? And then to me, what happened is they went off on their own, and Bungie has yet to show, since they've been out on their own, that they can deliver a critically successful game. Right now, Destiny is not. Don't get me wrong, Destiny PvP is great, but to me, Destiny is. I just can't deal with the business model of Destiny. And like I said, basically Destiny, we all know every time they launch, like what they got a 70 something vote times for Metacritic, and what did 343 got a 90, a 84, a 86, and a 87, like or something like that. So it's like 343 has not really released any bombs, and we know they sell great to their Halo, and Halo 5 is like the worst of all, but it still wasn't that. It wasn't terrible. The multiplayer was serviceable, and the story was meh. Story was terrible, to be fair, but it's still Halo gunplay, so it was great. And to me, I just keep telling people that 314 did this myth going around that somehow 343 has like destroyed the Halo franchise. The Halo franchise hasn't been in a great spot like this since Halo 3 launch.
Yeah,
Like, right now,
now they've put it back. You're right. I mean, listen, after 5, let's go back and let's think. 5 was bad compared to this. This isn't even. This 5 is not even touching the amount of like memorable experiences I've already had, and this is I'm say 40% way through the game, not even close. So they got it right. I really think that they got it right here, and it was just a crazy development. And now they're moving forward, and they're gonna do good. I think that they position themselves in the right position, and they just got to listen to fans, like they're doing, and everything's gonna be fine. It's a hit, and I didn't think. My heart of hearts told me that something would go awry and it wouldn't do anything, but they exceeded my expectations. They nailed it. This is going to be probably all of our games of the year to this 2021. I mean, that's the way it feels like, at least for me, like easily my game of the year for this year.
Now, Shock Buddy, I would love to hear your opinion on the game because, like, I know you've been playing through it, much like us. Yeah, like, tell us how's your experience so far?
Yeah, I kind of get the same feeling when, like, I first played. I know everybody's saying like not everything's Breath of the Wild, but it's just kind of that similar feeling when you're like going from linear Zelda, and then you're just like, oh, this is completely different, not knowing if it will work. And it's kind of that same feeling, and it's really cool how you can just like just attack. You can actually strategize a lot more of like how you're going to go about, okay, I'm going to attack even like main missions, at least the entrance of it. Obviously a lot of the main missions still end up being somewhat linear once you actually like get inside like a certain base, but sometimes you have to like break through a fortress to get into that corridor space that's linear because you're going actually inside the like Forerunner structure. But it's cool how you can attack some of those, and I did get a good kick out of some of the assassination missions. Like I think I posted one of them. It felt like I was playing one of the first early bosses that you were attacking. Like he was cloaking himself, and the cloak actually works pretty well in this game. Whereas like in the first game back then, you could still kind of make out. It's sometimes hard to see him, but for the most part, you could usually like make out where they were. But when they cloak themselves in this game, they like disappear real easy on you if you're not like paying attention to your like audio. But yeah, it's been pretty awesome so far, and the grapple's been. I think Spawnwave made a good point that one probably needs its own dedicated button because it's basically something you're gonna just use a lot often, or pretty often. And it's even in that first cutscene, you see him with the grapple shot like it's a main piece of his armor because he even tries to show it off with when he's trying to fight. I forget the main guy's name from Halo Wars 2, but yeah, you still see it in that first one, Atriox, when he's trying to like grapple up and it can't reach, and then he's just like left in space. But yeah, I've had a blast. I will say that I can't tell you where I am in the game as far as like, hey, I'm on the what mission, because I've totally lost track of that, just because you're doing other missions in between. Because that's a cool thing. You can just tackle it the way you want. Usually, if I'm going towards what I see as kind of a new main mission, I'll just choose maybe I'll do one or two that are like on the way, so I'm not like getting so far sidetracked. Like I did with like Skyrim, where I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna doing the story, but now I'm doing a million different things, never finish the game, and then I'm doing all these other side quests. But yeah, it's dope so far. I think the story, they've really touched base. If you've played like Halo 4, just like really personalizing the story. I think that's one thing that 343 was good at, other than 5, because I don't know. I can't remember that story, but I can remember 4, and I can remember this one. There's definitely parts in there where it's like, when you're, especially, you don't need to have played, like you can jump into this game without Halo, like playing the other ones, but if you have played them, like there's some of those beats in there where it's just like it kind of like starts to hit a little bit more at your emotion, just because like you've played for the past 20 years, like you grew up with these like characters and these in those relationships between like Chief and Cortana. So there's some parts in there that harkens back to the original CE of like scenes and audio. And you're like, it kind of really hits you. So, but the boss battles have been pretty sick and intense. Definitely played on heroic. It's because legendary. That's the only bad part is that you can't just easily change the difficulty. You've never been able to do that. But yeah, I think some of those later bosses you might get halfway in, but some of those later bosses are gonna toss your salad later. Yeah, on legendary. But,
yeah, I'm
go
not.
ahead.
I'm not gonna touch legendary just yet. I'm doing it on heroic myself because that's like the sweet spot. Yeah, exactly. But I usually I think I said this pre-show to Uni, but I usually play legendary after the fact because I have you get a familiarity with the environment, the enemies, and so on, and just second time around on legendaries is that it's a pretty nice experience when you know what you're getting into. But man, jackal snipers, by the way, they're still a pain in the ass, huh?
Yes, they are. Oh my god, they piss me off.
Oh yeah.
So, Invader, if I can add one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was wanting to point out that it's one of the biggest gripes that I've seen about this game is the lack of co-op, and it seems to come up in every single review. And I think it's really interesting because, in my opinion, reviews should be based on the product that is offered at hand. It shouldn't be based on what you think the game is lacking. Obviously, we all know that co-op is something that Halo has made a good stepping stone on for why it is at the position that it is when it comes to FPS. But I just really think it's interesting that in every review you read, it talked about how, co-op wasn't there. But meanwhile, over on another camp with Last of Us 2, we can have a developer come out and say that it's going to have multiplayer altogether, and it gets ripped from the game, and it's never mentioned in and it's not mentioned in a single damn review. So that's 94. where I question: is it possible for a Halo game to ever get above a 90? Just because it's wrong to review and grade on a curve, but you can't deny that it happens, because I don't care what review you read, blah, 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 no co-op. But they're going to give it to us free of charge. Meanwhile, I got my bottom dollar on, I got $20 on, there's going to be a next-gen version of Last of Us 2 that's going to come out. We'll call it the director's cut, and we're probably going to be sold the multiplayer experience that should have originally came with the game for $69.99 or possibly even more. And that's one of the things I'm chuckling at is co-op is coming. Let's take a look at the real situation. They're trying to support multiple generations of console, both the Gen 8 and the Gen 9 consoles. And yes, and the big thing is we saw what happened with Cyberpunk in overestimating how much power they think they could squeeze out of the older consoles. And I think that's something that Microsoft probably got a little trepidatious over and dialed it back, and we're like, we got a problem. We're probably going to have to pause co-op because of the other platforms. Because how would these people feel if Microsoft came out and was like, right now co-op is Series X and Series S only? I think that'd make people feel a certain way. So they wanted to be fair and just pause co-op altogether, because of the fact that there is going to be some limitations on the older hardware. And I just really feel that it's really interesting that in the game reviews, every single one mentions lack of co-op, but we're not supposed to be reviewing what the game lacks. We're supposed to be reviewing based on the product that they hand you.
Yes. Clear double standard here at play. Very clear.
I do think that those are valid criticisms of, again, the commentary in, different outlets. But at the same time, I do have to go the other way and point out that 343 does sort of have a track record when it comes to keeping some features out. Like, I remember with Halo 4, it was theater mode, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that did come later on, but it was kind of left out. Again, Halo 5, again, people talk, it didn't launch with Forge, and it was there wasn't a lot of maps at launch either, if I'm to be honest. Granted, that did come about.
This is all stuff that was added, but let's, again, redirect it. Last of Us, the developer said there was going to be multiplayer, and it was completely nixed from the game, and they were never. And guess what?
Here we are, almost 2 full years later.
Yeah,
from the original release date that was announced.
Exactly, and not only that, but we're not even
it?
guaranteed to get it free of charge.
Yes.
Yeah. And we haven't even had any update. At least Microsoft Studios, they update you all the time. Hellblade, they've updated you every step of the way. Here's what we're doing now. Here's what we're doing now. Same Bungie, or not Bungie, 343 is announcing it every weekly. What they're adding to the game, what we're listening to every week. Where do you get that?
Oh, no, absolutely. Absolutely, and their communication has been pretty good, and they've been on top of things like that, especially with, a bunch of the multiplayer stuff, and that's great. I'm just saying that, to be fair, they do have a track record of not getting some things in on time when they should. Granted, I mean, yeah, they do bring it, but I mean, I do have to point that out. Like, some of these features, like co-op, like Forge, I mean, they are a bit out. I mean, we still don't have an exact time period on them. And, I mean, I do plan on doing a review for this game, and I will review what I have, because I think it's fair to review just what you have right in front of you. But at the same time, there is some stuff that should be like, oh, maybe that should have, like, why couldn't they fit that in for the game's development period, like 6-7 years? Like, there are some things where I'm like, well, why couldn't they get co-op in? Why couldn't they, like, even stuff like campaign scoring, if I'm not mistaken, like, I didn't see it pop up. Like, there are a few things I'm just kind of, like, I do scratch my head on, which I do think it is fair to point out.
The co-op, how hard it would be.
Maybe. Like, again, I'm not a developer. Like, I do give them the benefit of the doubt, honestly. It's just, especially with the conditions that have been the last 2 years. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I understand. I totally understand that. But I'm just saying they do kind of have a track record, of...
Let's just... That's where they have a track record, but let's also just... Okay, fine. Let's go back to the old archaic dinosaur ways. Co-op is in the games, and it's only going to work between the Xbox One generation with other Xbox Ones, and the Series X co-op only works with Series X co-op, because you would have 2 different versions of the game. That's like, everybody does not want to acknowledge that for the first time in gaming period, a game is not only cross-platform between PC and Xbox, but it is also generational cross-platform. It's able to go to other older consoles that don't have as much power. Like, if we really wanted to look at a good example of a game that released in 2 different versions, we'll use Shadows of Mordor. A game that came out on the 360 had none of the Nemesis program inside it, because the console could not handle it. Meanwhile, on the Xbox One, the premier version of the game had the Nemesis program, and all the enemy AI had their own personality. They'd come back, they'd talk trash to you. That was a complete package, and therefore, the older generation was completely penalized by not being able to have that experience, because their console could not handle that. And I am applauding Microsoft for at least attempting to do what they're trying to do. And all the criticisms on this whole co-op situation and everything else are, in my opinion, totally, and this isn't directed towards anybody, but it's very unfounded, because of the fact that literally we all want our games to be cross-platform. We want, but we don't realize the sacrifices that are needed to get us to that point. And sometimes to get a really great outcome, some sacrifices are involved. And that's where, regretfully, co-op had to be sacrificed, but not completely, but only for a few months.
I'm just saying, well, we still don't have specific dates on that yet, but again, I am giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm still playing through this, but again, there is some stuff missing, so I mean, that is a valid criticism, I would say. However, guys, I mean, when you look at what's been released, like, again, I've seen some comments in the chat. You look at how the latest Call of Duty launched, not very good from what I'm to understand. Battlefield is a little bit of a mess from we've talked about it too. I mean, Halo is in a prime position at the moment. Really. I mean, the campaign is looking pretty smooth and solid. The multiplayer, it's definitely pretty fun. I mean, guys, Halo, it's definitely stealing the sunshine, I would say, at this point. What do you guys think? Like, is Halo going to be dominating this holiday season?
Oh, easily. I mean, look, you get a feel of the crowd, like in regards to Call of Duty and Battlefield. Battlefield numbers are dropping. I mean, the game's going to get better, of course. So we all know that, but feels like there's a little bit of franchise fatigue on both sides. I think Call of Duty, a lot of people just aren't feeling the World War II theme this year. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are just giving that a pass. Let's face facts here. Halo, worst case, it could have been the next Cyberpunk. But they righted the ship. They got Staten on board. And they made the best that they could with the situation, because I think we all know that 343 had a management shakeup. There's some kind of problem managing the project. But I feel like we're out of the woods now. It's all uphill from here, and Halo Infinite will just keep adding content, adding more, because at the end of the day, it's more hard to fix bad core gameplay than I'd rather have what we have right now, where the core gameplay foundation is solid, and all they need to do is just keep building on that. If the core gameplay was messed up, the game will be dying like right now as we speak.
Oh, absolutely.
And keep Joseph Staten, please, for the love of God. Just keep him around for a bit.
Give him a raise, something, anything.
Well, I don't think he was ever gone. It was just he was elevated to a different position, right? When the changes were announced, and I don't like Joe Staten. I trust Joe Staten to do things with Halo. So to me, he's he's the perfect guy to make Halo successful. So I'm glad they put it in his hands, and just to oversee the franchise and so on. Again, a lot of people forget like how much stuff Joe Staten has done within like Microsoft Game or Xbox Game Studios, I should say, like Recore, for example. Very, very good story. And I think he also did work with Crackdown as well, like all over the place. Gotta really commend that guy. But yeah, guys, I'm really liking Halo. I gotta admit, like, I'm early on, but I'm just really excited. Sorry, somebody was talking?
Oh yeah, the game, it like, I guess people are saying it's like not open world, but like this game is like huge. You can go for like what seems like miles and miles in the game before you get to a point where you can't like go any further. I was just doing that with the grapple, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of need to unlock that wasp so I can get around. But luckily, I found there's plenty of banshees around, but so you can get around and actually skip some parts where you actually don't have to. If you're playing on Legendary, definitely try to seek out those banshees that you find around the world, because then you can easily skip through some fortresses of those main missions to get to the door. But yeah, this game, what they've done with the turmoil that they had to go through, changing up, after they were like, because they were already starting on this, I guess, like sometime after Halo 5, and from that reception, totally like scrapping whatever they were doing there. And then how Joseph, came in like, hey, this game, from what we heard reports, was like, hey, you had an open world kind of like this, but everything, it wasn't in a structured, like it wasn't keeping you feeling like you're playing Halo, like on a mission. Kind of from the reports, it sounded like it was more like when you're playing Skyrim, and hey, well, you can just get sidetracked and never finish the game, and like you're just doing all these other things, like if you're playing like Assassin's Creed or something. Whereas I guess when Joseph came in, they were putting it more of a like, okay, keep you on target. Cool, you can do some of those side things, but here, let's bring you back and focus on like telling a somewhat similar, through line for the story. But to right that ship and land where they are, like I don't. I mean that's pretty surprising given all things considered, especially last year and how that went. So
I agree with you. Like, this is the greatest turnaround I've ever seen for a video game before like release. Like, what I mean by that, like, I've seen turnarounds after the video game release, like No Man's Sky or something like that. Like, when you work hard to get it turned around, and that's rare by itself. But it's very rare to see a game basically fall from down to the depths where Halo Infinite was to where is it right now in a year. Like, if you'd told me like there were people out here talking about, like I said, anytime it's Xbox period, but especially Halo with Xbox, people exaggerate and everything has to be like times a billion. So there was people out here in the media talking about how Halo Infinite has to be perfect. It has to be basically putting the bar on another level that's unattainable by any game. So my point is, even though Halo Infinite to me reached all of our expectations, just think about where it was last year with Craig, where at that point in time Xbox had a terrible reputation just coming off of the Xbox One generation. They're about to launch. They had to just literally delay the one exclusive they were launching with that's on the box. They had to do that, bro. And they still turned it around to be a positive where the community as a whole and gamers are happy with Xbox within one calendar year. That alone, everybody in leadership deserves a raise. And of course, the workers. Everybody in Xbox deserves a raise for this Christmas just because of to turn things around for the brand and Halo and 343 by itself. I could only imagine the amount of hours 343 put in over this next year. Because if the Xbox and the people at the top have to come back, they had to lose all that money from marketing and stuff. They already had everything planned. They already had all of that ready. And they basically had to go back to the drawing board for a whole year, hire Joseph, put like more good people in charge of the project, give them more resources, more money, more funding, more budget, all of that for a year. And it literally paid off because the game is the game of the year for the year. There's no game that released this year that even touched. Like I said, other games like Ratchet and Clank is a good game, but it doesn't give me not even 1/10 what Halo gives me. Where Halo gives me thousands of replayable hours in multiplayer. I don't even have to spend a penny to play it, and they give me the campaign, and they're gonna expand upon the campaign, and the campaign is amazing and great. So, like I said, it's like two games in one, and literally Xbox gamers are spoiled.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
funny when people say how people tease online how Halo's like half a game, quote unquote. I just respond back. What Halo does give you day one is still more content and replayability than anything the competition put out this year. So what does that say if a a chopped up Halo is still offering more than what else you're used to? You know?
Yeah.
So people that don't demand better. They don't see that what you're asking from Halo. Why don't you ask for that from for every publisher? Why don't you treat every developer like you treat 343? Talking about unlimited budget, like they come up with anything. If you think 343 has an unlimited budget, like these people are crazy. So my point is like what they say anything because they want to put you in Xbox in a position in perception where they can fail, where it's guaranteed they're gonna fail because Halo has to be this. Halo right now is rated the same rating as Spider-Man. So anytime somebody comes to me and tell me Halo Infinite is trash or it's not great, I said then you're telling me Spider-Man isn't great because y'all told me that was a system seller and a banger.
Yeah.
So yeah,
well, I agree with all that. One of the things that I find odd is that a lot of the things that people were worried about going into the game were the graphics, and coming out of it, nobody's complaining about the graphics. Everyone kind of feels like the graphics are awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because they are too scared to get ratioed to oblivion because they've been getting ratioed all year on Twitter. Anytime they do dumb stuff like running the dog in circles or chopping down trees with Kratos or looking for fruit physics. So I think they might be scared to do it because I was waiting for the 800% zoom on 1080p. I mean on 10p, 180p. Wait, 180?
No,
Yeah,
the
180,
game
180p.
No, the game
Yeah.
is beautiful. The game is beautiful beyond belief. Like they got the art style is really on point, and just the little details, whether it be like different particles, lighting, and just the detail of the character models themselves. I mean, they're really fantastic and have been blowing me away. You know, all these you got these fusion coils that you can pick up. Some are blast, some are more electrical. You throw them, you chuck them, and sometimes there'll be a whole bunch of them laying around, and then they'll just like blow the crap out of everything. You'll see enemies fly by, and just like it's a spectacle really to behold. With some of the stuff that they go on, I gotta admit, I am impressed what I've seen so far from the Slipspace engine, and just the amount of work that has gone into the campaign and the details and the environments. Again, some on the podcast have pointed out, like, you know, different areas, different camps, and so on, and like just the amount of detail. And then, oh, there's actually stuff that goes on. It's not just a random outpost here. It's like they've actually put work into making it more identifiable. And I really appreciate that too. Not to mention the bosses.
For me, my initial moment of wow, this is very well done, at least when it comes to an environmental build, was that moment in the beginning of the game when you walk into that area where all the drop ships are getting ready to be launched, and you're like seeing them all up on the walls, and you just look around and the draw distance and the machinery and everything that's moving around. You're like, wow, this is detailed. This is a lot. And then when you go back into that room later on in that part of the story, when all hell is breaking loose and now the room is completely freaking different, that right there was almost like the aha moment for me when it came to, wow, this is going to be a totally different experience. I can't wait until I get down onto the ring.
Oh yes. Oh, you're still pretty early on then.
No, I'm on the ring. I'm talking like that first initial moment when you first start playing the game. Like, I thought it was pretty cool how, like, if you could go watch all the trailers and all the other stuff, and that's like probably the first like couple minutes of the game. Like this whole time you're just been showing like basically the first few minutes of the game, and you're like right there, and I am just amazed by the environment at the very beginning of the game. And my jaw-dropping moment is that moment when you literally walk up to that door and the door drops and you see Zeta Halo, and you see all the environmental effects when it comes to the weather, the detail of the environment when it comes to the grass, the trees, the snow on the mountains. I was just like, wow, this is great right here. This is like that moment when you walk out of the vault in a Fallout game, and all of a sudden you have the sun in your eyes and it goes away and you're exposed to this great expanse of a world. That was what it gave me when I had that door drop down in Halo, and you're just like, wow, this is mine to explore. This is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's well said, Centurion. Either way, guys, like, this is a really awesome game. Again, I'm only a few hours deep into it so far, but I'm just enjoying every minute of it, whether it be just screwing around, doing the occasional actual mission. But so far, I'm really liking the campaign, and I still haven't touched the multiplayer in a while. I need to get back into that. But yeah, I'm having a good time, and it sounds like a lot of other people are as well. I know there's a lot of very good things said in the chat about it, and yeah, guys, Halo's back. It's awesome. Remember, guys, tuning in, don't forget to drop a like and share this out, and sub to the channel if you're new here. It's always great to see some new faces. All right, fellas, why don't we go over to another topic for the evening, and that is the Video Game Awards. And we got some interesting results for the awards themselves, as well as some pretty cool reveals and some new gameplay. Yeah, guys, let's talk about it. Centurion, buddy, I know you were keeping an eye on the show. What would you like to start off with? Like, what really caught your eye to start off the show? Like the awards themselves, the reveals, gameplay. Like, go ahead, bud.
Man, where to start? Now, I want to at least give Jeff Keighley. I've criticized him a lot over the years. Everybody knows I'm not exactly his biggest fan, but he gained some respect, in my opinion, at least for me. With his opening speech at the Game Awards. That's a subject that I know nobody wants to get into. I'm not going to get into it, but I applauded him.
Yeah,
What'd you say?
I agree with what your point is, and it's not really a much talked about point, but it's kudos to you that you are correct. It was very good that he did that.
I was questioning whether or not he was even going to talk about it, and then it was just like, "Hi, everybody, welcome to the Game Awards. I'm Jeff Keighley. Let's get real for a second." And it's like, oh, dude, he's going to open this up like this? Wow, okay.
Yeah, it showed that he meant that he was serious about it, which kind of I like that because people were saying that he was trying to bury it, and he came right out and he was like, nope, this is not, don't even start.
So, yeah, definitely. That's where Jeff Keighley, if I could, I'd shake his hand and say, good job, man. I enjoyed the show. Love what you had to say in the beginning. I know there's always rooms for improvement when it comes to how things were kind of spaced out and some of the advertising. But in my opinion, I enjoyed the show. I watched the entire thing. And man, where to start on what was put out? I mean, geez. Let's start with the big elephant in the room. Has anybody tried that Matrix Awakens part yet for the Xbox, showing off the Unreal Engine 5? Oh my freaking god. That right there, what'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying it's gorgeous. Go on.
Oh, dude, it gorgeous. They show when you play that demo, you actually get to see the amount of AI on the screen, how much basically the how detailed the environments are because of how the engine works. Awesome game. My wife actually literally at first thought I was actually watching a movie during that opening scene. Outside of obviously there was some parts where they filmed the actors from the Matrix, but when it switched to the actual part where it was the game, she swore to God I was still watching the movie. But I mean, we got a new Star Wars game coming out that's going to be absolutely amazing. Obviously that's being done by Quantic Dream. I have been wanting to just tackle the elephant in the room. Guess what, guys? Quantic Dream may have done things for PlayStation, but they came out years ago and said that they are shifting to a multi-platform developer. They do not want to remain as an exclusive developer making for one platform. This Star Wars game is going to be multi-platform. Just because Quantic Dream's name is on it doesn't mean nothing at this point. I know a lot of Alan Wake fans totally got excited over the fact that Alan Wake 2 is finally being created. I'm going to be I'm going to be upfront. I'm still in the bushes. I've never played the original Alan Wake. But when I hear a lot of people talk about Alan Wake, that's where there is the big question in the room. Are you guys ready for it to become survival horror?
Yes.
Not me. I don't know about that. I'm usually a very easygoing guy, as you guys know. But that's something that I don't know. I don't really quite get that because Alan Wake, and if you get to play it, the story was the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the ending is one of the most memorable ending ever in a video game for me. So the story was everything, and now you're just going to something. What is a survival horror? Is that like Jason? I don't even know what that is.
It's like Resident Evil.
Yeah,
Resident Evil?
Limited ammo.
Basically, they make the algorithm of the game make it feel like you're always one bullet away from running out or one health pack away from not having enough. I mean, to keeping you on the edge of your seat.
There was a similar feel to that, like in Alan Wake, like you had to pick up resources, but they usually gave you plenty. Whereas in Resident Evil Village, like I felt like, hey, I'm like, there's no way I'm going to finish the save file, but I ended up finishing it because I had just the right amount of bullets to make it through. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it could be good. I just think that the first Alan Wake was a classic, and listen, it probably will have a story. It's just I don't know. It just seemed a little curious to me.
it's
But
cool they
yeah,
got Jake Gyllenhaal to do a face cast. No, I'm just joking.
Centurion. What about
It
the
looks
big
a lot like him.
I
Centurion?
was like him or Jared Leto, one of the two.
I have a question for Centurion. What do you
Yes,
think of the Hellblade? I think that was the most amazing thing ever.
I am definitely so. I'm gonna be truthful. I'm still in the bushes. I have yet to play the original Hellblade, but
Jesus.
that's because I work way too much and I've always got ADD on the brain, and I can never figure out one game to stick with. I've played the first parts of Hellblade, but not really got that detailed into it. But from what I'm seeing, it looks like it's going to be an amazing game. It looks like it's going to be a very graphically superior game. Don't care what nobody says. It looks very clean, very well polished. There's like a very dark, dirty nature to the actual, like, how the game looks. And I'm really wanting to see more of it. I mean, that scene where all the smoke and everything is filling up the screen and you're wondering, oh my god, did they kill the giant, what's going on? And all of a sudden that dude comes running through the smoke on fire. That right there, I was just like, this is gonna be a very, very good game. It's good to see that they're keeping the psychological aspect of the game intact, because you see in the preview of the game how she's questioning herself as a leader, and the things that are happening to the people she's leading are affecting her mentally. And that's actually a big deal in real life. I mean, like, imagine an actual commanding soldier who's leading his platoon and somebody gets killed under his watch. That's something that you have to mentally handle in real life, and that's where she was having those questions as well in the preview trailer. So it's good to see that they're still going to have the psychological aspect of the game and just those stress levels intact from how the first game dealt with issues of the mind. I'm just very curious on, is she going to have some of the original underlying issues from the first game, or is she going to have totally different ones at this point? Because, obviously she has progressed as a character. She had some closure with some of these other things from the first game just to acquire new things. That's the one thing I'm curious on, how they're going to keep up with the actual nature of Hellblade, which is tackling issues of the mind.
Well, I mean, if you listen to the trailer, you hear like those same whispers that were present in the first game. So they were in that trailer. So I would say that she's still like grasping with things. She's still, again, putting up that inner struggle with herself. I mean, I'd even question if those people with her are even real or are figments of her imagination. So I don't know.
Right. She could be completely hallucinating and trying to tackle some kind of giant that means something totally, because we all have our own giants and our own monsters that haunt us.
And for you, listen, this is you have to go play the first game now. Just be.
I'm excited too, because I get all the Series X patches.
There, what you just said right there, and that type of thinking is exactly why you have to finish the game, the first game. It's all about that, and I think you should really play it. Use the guides if you have to, because there's some puzzles that are annoying. But
I love puzzles.
Yeah, it's honestly, I think you should put it on your thing. Just because what you just said there really, like, it pulls the heartstrings of the game. That's what it's about, and that's the question of that. Like the giant. I don't want to get into spoilers and stuff like that. Seems like we've been teetering all night, but is that a figment of her imagination? Is that guy that she talks about? Why is she crying in the end? There's so many things there that are up for interpretation. That is, why this game is going to be unbelievable, and why Ninja Theory is might have been their most valuable pickup, and that's one of them. I mean, you would say Playground for sure out of the when they were all picked, but what Ninja Theory's doing, the amount of money that they're spending with the tech that they're using.
Oh yeah.
One of the things that the reasons why I believe they went with Microsoft was they realized Microsoft would fit the bill for their technology that they use for their game, the way they shoot the game with the motion. Basically, this whole game is going to be motion captured, which basically means it's going to be the whole game. You're going to look at that, and that's going to be the game. It's going to look real. And
There's even go.
yeah, there's a documentary or whatever. There's a couple of things that they even talk about it, but you know, it's a trend-setting game, and it's funny because you remember Colin was like, "Why would you buy Ninja Theory? Like, who does that?" Like he was.
Oh
going
yeah,
off.
there's no
cringe.
culture to those studios.
Yeah,
I was said like,
what
oh my
was
god,
the-
that was the
it was
biggest
the
like,
worst take. And listen,
oh my
everyone
god.
has bad takes, but I keep thinking about that because that's what they got. Xbox really got something special here, and it was just great that we're still talking about it. Twitter is all over the place. It is now rightfully so. It is looked upon as the bar. It is the bar, and you know for so many years Sony's been the bar, but now we got a new bar, and
Ninja Theory is totally raising the bar because you're talking about motion capture, but they also have shown in house that they are using LiDAR in part of their game development, and that's not used for mapping people. That's used for mapping environments, which is why their environments look the way they do, because they go out and they find these environments and they actually digitally scan them to recreate these environments, and they're even doing it with Project Mara, if I'm getting the right name right. I know where they're doing the apartment, and that's and that right there, like if you read how they're doing that apartment, they are LiDARing every square inch of that apartment. That's why that apartment looks like it. And I don't know if anybody's familiar with what LiDAR was originally used for, but LiDAR was originally used for mapping cave systems for miners. It's also used on airplanes to fly over like the jungles of Mexico, and they scan the entire jungle from the air, and they strip all the foliage away to look for all the temples that are literally underneath all that foliage that you can't see.
Oh, I thought the term was photogrammetry is what they're using.
You could call it photogrammetry, but the idea behind LiDAR is you're scanning an environment with a laser down to like a very detailed word. I think it's like smaller than an inch. I mean, you're especially with what they're using in Project Mara to do the apartment. Like when they scan a wood surface with this or a leather surface, you're getting all those dips and valleys that are in a wood grain structure because the LiDAR is sensitive enough to actually recreate that.
Oh yeah, they know what they're doing. It's good that they have the job security to like just do what they want to do without having to worry about like the money like how they used to before when they were independent. So I can't wait for these guys. Like they're unleashed right now.
Yeah, like I can't wait to see more like actual gameplay moments. But actually, just to continue on with that thought though, so this trailer again, it gets revealed, the imagery, the attention to detail of it, the models, they look fantastic, like some of the best I've seen so far. But I did see a lot of, how do I say, maybe almost complaints about, because it was a very dark trailer, and you know there was a lot of talk about it, like from certain sides anyways, but it's still a very well detailed, the lighting, like the flames and whatnot, just it was fantastic. But like I don't know, like I thought it looked fine, guys. I thought it looked beautiful.
Listen, anybody that's saying that is a hater. The absolute your natural reaction to seeing that is to be like, oh my god. Okay, they did that on purpose, and people talking about gameplay. They did it on purpose to show the scale of the. They wanted to show the giant, which makes sense. It's visually what they shown when it was burning and everything's going crazy was absolutely amazing. So that was kind of a set piece. They could have showed combat. The game is going to be very heavily geared to combat, as there was a ton of motion combat video taken for the game. She actually learned how to fight. There's a part, again, it's a part of the documentary, because they motion captured her fighting. So there's going to be a ton of that. But they picked that scene for obvious reasons. And like I said, they did something where they set the bar, and people are fanboys or whatever. They're really having a hard time. People are starting to go crazy as we speak right now about this. Like, they don't like when Xbox gets good things, and when they, when it does well, and certain people go crazy, and you see stupid takes like, "Oh, it's underwhelming." Like, you're gonna call that underwhelming? Like, shut up! Like, come on!
But they all wanted Xbox to be more competitive and to have that third-person mature game, and then all of a sudden they give us that, and it's like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, that's not what we wanted.
It's a walking sim. I thought you don't like.
We had this discussion in the pre-show, right? Where I was telling, I think Invader, I was like, basically, it's funny to hear people who lived on a diet of nothing but cinematic set pieces.
Yes.
For the last 8 years. Somehow now with Hellblade, they draw the line. Now they don't like that. Now they want pure gameplay and action and quote unquote fun. That's when we said that's why we're not worried about the graphics for Halo Infinite. They say, oh, now fun is what you're supposed to do with a video game. So at the end of the day, I really don't take any of these people seriously, because it's not good faith arguments. Like, we know that if all you have to do with Hellblade, right, and Ninja Theory is slap a PS Studios on in front of Ninja Theory, and they would call that game the best game that ever lived. They would say this is the greatest. Look at the graphics. Look at the fidelity. Look how great it. I'm like, yes, there was some gameplay with some cinematic set pieces or whatever, but I'm like, let's go back to Forbidden West. Like, it started off with her coming down, talking to the black guy, gave him a drink. They were talking. That's cinematics. She came to the grass. It stopped. Then the robots came, checked over there for her. Did the jump on the thing? That's cinematics. The other guy came leading the guy. There's cinematic. It's like, I don't understand. It's either you want that type of game or you don't. You can't only like it when it's a PlayStation game. But when it's an Xbox game, then it's too. But anyway, it's like arguing with the wall anyway. So y'all can, I really try not to.
I know there's no narrative consistency, and it's funny they set themselves up, because to those who admit the graphics are good, they do the narrative backpedal, saying, well, all the player did was move forward, and then all the player did was move backwards. Like, that's bad gameplay. Like Tim was saying, there's a documentary. She was doing motion capture with hand-to-hand combat and literally several types of different weapons. She ain't just using a sword like in Hellblade 1. There's a heavy implication that there's going to be multiple weapon customization and multiple fighting styles that the player can choose from. So again, we know that, but they don't do their homework. They don't know that. So all they say is, you go forward, you go back. But then the gameplay is going to be shown, and I guess we're going to see them do another narrative pivot again, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take off of the Hellblade thing now, if I could at least point out the two things that stood out to me in the whole award show was, it's good to see Telltale Games is starting to have a resurgence and that they aren't totally gone forever. Obviously, they're doing The Expanse, and some of the Telltale veterans that left from Telltale Games originally are doing a Star Trek based game. I'm a total sci-fi nut, and being a sci-fi nut, the game that got me the most interested was Arc Raiders. Did any of you remember that one?
Oh, what's that one?
Well, Arc Raiders is
I love
a co-op
that
PvE style game, It reminded me of Lost Planet with how the robotic creatures or whatever they are basically falling to Earth from space.
Yeah.
And as these creatures emerge, you and your other Arc Raider friends come together, and you got to go battle these creatures. But this game is being done by DICE devs, guys that have experience with Battlefront and Battlefield, and they're creating this really cool looking sci-fi experience that totally has me intrigued.
Well, when's that coming out?
Oh,
Did
true.
it say?
It
They
says
showed
that it will
at the
be free
Game
to
Awards.
play somewhere in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It looks honestly to follow up. I agree wholeheartedly. Very curiously, it looks good. I kind of am a little disappointed it's free to play. Kind of like if that was open world, but I can understand it. But if that was like a single player, I would be really interested. But yeah, it looks really cool. It looks to me, I definitely can see the Lost Planet. It looks to me like something from Star Wars or from that type of graphics. The aesthetics of the graphics I felt were really cool, and it was like shooting and yeah, that's a game to watch out for. They had so many good games, you know. It's pretty crazy. I mean, the Quantum Dream game it is going to be on Xbox. That game looks to be really cool. And Quantum Dream, honestly, they are one of the most uniquely talented studios. I know they had some history and stuff like that with the director, but I think though that the Star Wars with that is going to be a very good game. Like, who's not going to want to be like into that? Even though there might, if it's going to be like, what was the game that they had with the droids? Their last game that they made. Do you guys remember?
Oh, Detroit Become Human?
Yeah, Detroit to Become Human. If they could do that with like that gameplay and still, because the graphics, I felt aside from Hellblade 2 were the most impressive in the game in the show. But overall, I just felt like the show was pretty good. They really did kind of show us a lot.
Oh, there's one game I wish I could have been in the room with Invader to see when they dropped its announcement. You know which one I'm talking about, right, Invader?
That was definitely Tunic, right?
I've heard a lot about Tunic, but I'm talking about your new Warhammer game.
Yes.
That was huge.
I'm pretty sure he was probably like screaming at the top of his lungs when that probably hit.
Oh, dude. Well, okay. Well, first of all, I didn't watch the show live, but I caught all the trailers at the end, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what is this? I see a new Warhammer game. I'm like, okay, I'm interested. Space Marine 2. I'm like, holy crap, that came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting that. And yeah, it looks so good. I mean, it's just a CGI well, okay, they did have some gameplay at the end, but oh man, that looks so awesome. Like,
the only thing I hope with this announcement is that, because right now there is no backwards compatibility on Space Marine, the original. I played that game for like an hour or two when it came out, and I never completed it, and now that game is gone out of my collection. I hope they make it backwards compatible, but if not, the one thing I hope they do is if you go on Steam right now, there's actually a Space Marine Anniversary Edition on Steam that contains all the DLC, but it's specific to PC right now. I'm hoping by this game coming out that they are going to somehow port that Anniversary Edition over to console.
Well, what pisses me off is that, I believe it was made under Sega, which I think it was made by Relic, if I'm not mistaken, the specific studio. And the thing is, I don't think Sega would have a problem with it, but you see, Games Workshop, the owner of the Warhammer IP, they can be a little stingy at times, especially recently with their IP. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was them saying, keep it off, because I don't like Sega and Microsoft have a pretty good relationship, and they put a whole bunch of backwards compatible games on the service. So I don't think it's Sega personally, but
generally when something is kept from backwards compatibility, it's either somebody's just wanting to be a bogus a-hole, Or we've seen a lot of times that they don't want these games to be backwards compatible because they know that the power of the Series X and the Series S can deliver a very premium experience, which is something a lot of developers and publishers nowadays want to be able to sell you. And that's where I'm curious with this Warhammer Anniversary Edition, that would leave the avenue open for them to basically sell a full-priced game with next-gen enhancements.
Yeah, they'll do it, I think. I think they'll release a remastered or anniversary edition, like you said, kind of what's similar on Steam. Probably. I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, how many games have we seen, like, have sequels to long-awaited titles, and then those long-awaited titles get a remaster, right? Like Alan Wake, for example. So...
Yes.
So actually, yeah, that's a really good example. But yeah, that was another one that really blew me away. Both, Alan Wake 2 and Space Marine 2. Damn, I mean, guys, in case you don't know, I'm a huge Warhammer guy. Like, I'm not a Space Marine dude, but like, I follow a lot of that stuff. I'm a 40K guy, so I was pretty psyched to see that. And the Tyranids, no less. Also, I mean, guys, Xbox had a really good showing all around. Did you guys catch CrossfireX? It finally got a release date after being silent for a while. Like, damn.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm ready to play some Crossfire. I want to check out what Remedy's been cooking up.
Oh yeah, I don't want them to release in December. It would have been cannibalized by Halo. This way, we could start off 2022 on the right foot. Now February is a month for Xbox as well, so I'm looking forward to it.
But dude, with that game coming out, man, at this point, can Dying Light 2 catch a break?
Oh yeah.
I want to play Dying Light too. I'm ready for Dying Light to come out, and it always seems like whenever Dying Light tries to get away from another title releasing, all of a sudden another one pops up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true, because didn't they change their release date a couple of times recently? So
Well, we were supposed to get December, then it went to January, then I think it transferred to February. And dude, I mean, like 2022, I'm probably gonna go broke, have to get a second job or something. I mean, dude, we got, at least for me, I've got, what's it called? Rainbow Six Extraction, Dying Light 2. We got CrossfireX. I mean, there's even been rumors now that, my God, what is it? Name eludes me. Atomic Heart is getting ready to finally come out of the shadows. They released a new trailer. Everybody's talking about Game Pass Day 1 for Atomic Heart. That's going to be an amazing game experience, especially if you guys loved BioShock. Atomic Heart, Invader was the one that turned me on to it. I've done videos for Atomic Heart. I wrote an article for lordsofgaming.net on Atomic Heart. And that game right there, I really feel is going to be a very unique experience for a lot of people that are big fans of BioShock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks really engrossing, very unique kind of direction, very the narrative seems quite interesting to me. So yeah, it just caught my eye ever since I first saw it released first trailer a couple of years ago. Guys, a very generous super chat from Peter Sark, $49.99, $50 US. Thank you very much, Peter. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all. Wishing everyone a safe and happy new year. Can't wait to see you all in person next year. Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see about that one, but yes, that would be nice. That would certainly be nice, depending how everything is.
You know where I lived. No, I'm joking.
Right. But yeah, thank you very much, Peter. And yeah, CrossfireX, guys, that's cool. I'm looking forward to that, February 10th. Not only that, like Game Pass got a bit of a rebranding for like just Game Pass for PC, and there was a trailer. And they announced some more stuff coming day one into Game Pass. They actually announced they had an unannounced game in there, Sniper Elite 5, which looks really, really good. I'm looking forward to playing that after going through Sniper Elite 4 and all its DLC. Oh man, that looks good. Tunic, I mentioned Tunic earlier. It's got a release date for March 16th, which yeah, that seems all right. It's not as bad as February from the looks of it, but damn, there's a lot of games to play. Google Play games coming to Windows PC, which very interesting move. And yeah, guys, I mean, overall, I mean, those, like, we've just been talking about the game reveals alone, and we haven't even touched on everything. I mean, that was, I have to say, Jeff Keighley brought a bunch of really good reveals to this event. But
What do you guys think of the Halo TV trailer? Huh?
I'm all in. I think it looks good. I think it's gonna be very good.
Oh yeah, like the production values look
I'll wait to
amazing.
see. At least it looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see about the story, but at least the budget's where it should be. It's not like cheap CGI graphics, you know.
mm-hmm. Like, I agree that the CGI does look pretty decent. I don't know if I like I don't know, maybe I'm just nitpicking. I don't know if I like the way Chief looks so much. And like you said, MLD, like, lore wise, I mean, I realize that this is a non-canon show, but I don't know, like, I have to see more. Again, it was just a very quick trailer, but I don't know, I have to see more of this to really get excited. I mean, this has been in concept and production for years now, and for it to finally be coming, I mean, I am looking forward to watching it, but I don't know, we'll see. I have to see more of it to get, like, really pumped for it personally. But either way, I mean, hey, more Halo the better, right? Actually, what did you guys think of the awards themselves? Did anything catch you guys, like, off guard, or how do you guys think Xbox did overall with the awards? I think they won about, I don't know, 6 or 7 awards from what I remember. I mean, Deathloop really brought it in, I think, for best game direction and art direction. It's a shame it's not on Xbox right now, but it looks like it definitely caught some eyes. Like, Centurion, what did you think of the actual awards themselves? Do you think Deathloop did pretty well overall?
Deathloop did very well. I'm glad to see it's getting recognition, even being pretty much one of the final games that they're actually going to be, that they were contractually obligated to fulfill over on that platform. But it's also good to see that it's still being supported on that platform, and that there's nobody, like, with hard feelings or, like, totally boycotting the game because they were bought. I was kind of worried about that. Now, my only complaints with the awards that were given are, one, Psychonauts 2 didn't win anything. I felt that game was actually very well put together, had an amazing story. I at least wanted it to take something. But also, when it came to the pacing of the awards, and one of the guys I watched on YouTube kind of hit the nail on the head with that, how, like, when Forza Horizon 5 got announced for being the most accessible game, which I thought was really cool to have your own little sign language interpreter. But as they're walking to the stage, also you hear some voice cut over. Forza Horizon 5 is also receiving the award for best sports game. And you're just like, so that's basically that's their announcement for winning best sports game right there, is the announcement over all the applause for getting the first award. I still don't really like how, like, I'm going to be upfront, I didn't really like some of the how in your face the advertisements were that were in between the awards. They kept wanting me to flip over and watch the show on Twitch with some guy I didn't even know who he was or cared to know who he was. And also, this is not a diss, I'm not trying to be mean, but there was just way too much emphasis on the mobile game award, when I understand mobile gaming on a mobile platform, like a mobile phone, has a purpose in gaming. But I'm going to be upfront, I don't really see it being a real backbone to the gaming industry. That's where I just feel that there was some awards that they made a big deal out of, and other awards that deserved more recognition than other awards. They definitely needed to get the pacing out a little bit when it came to how they handed them out.
Mm-hmm. Like, again, I can't really comment on that part per se, because I didn't watch it live. I just kind of caught bits and pieces, and so on.
Who's the guy that I'm thinking of that they kept? His name was like Alex West or something, or am I getting his name wrong? I don't even know who this guy was, but every 15 to 20 minutes, this guy would appear on, hey, come watch the Game Awards with me and also attend my after party. Who is this guy?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
If you watch it, you'll see what my complaint and my gripe. A lot of people didn't like that there was a heavy emphasis on television shows or movies. They wanted that to be kept separate, but I just feel at this point the gaming industry is becoming even more relevant than the television and movie industry. So you're going to see the blending of those two forms of entertainment, and that wasn't a big deal to me. But definitely, there was just a little bit way too much more advertisement. Like, I'm not talking about the games. I'm talking about the random advertisements that would just totally bring you out of the experience. But there was one award that completely, outside of, let me see, what's it called? Guardians of the Galaxy getting Best Narrative. I just beat Guardians of the Galaxy the other day. They are totally deserving of that title. Awesome story, great gameplay experience. I enjoyed the hell out of Guardians of the Galaxy. It never felt so good to be so wrong. I was totally hesitant of that game, and I am wrong in how I felt on that game. But one guy watching through the awards show, every time his game was nominated, he didn't get the award, and you could tell he really wanted something. And then at the end of the night, when he was announced that his game took Game of the Year, and that's It Takes Two, I mean, that you could just see that guy right there. It was like you didn't get any other award, but you got the big one of the night. And honestly, I feel that It Takes Two is a really great game with a really great message, very well put together, and that award couldn't have went to a better guy.
Well, I mean, yeah, I still have yet to play It Takes Two, but isn't it available with EA Play with Xbox Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes,
Yep, right now.
but if you do you have like a significant other to play games with?
Yes.
That would be sit down with her and play It Takes Two. You'll have a blast.
How long is the game to beat?
Me and my wife play it here and there. I want to say it's not a very super long game, but like if you watch the trailers, the synapse is you have two parents that are getting ready to have a divorce, and this little girl finds this magical book and makes a wish for the book to basically help her parents to find love again, not realizing that the book actually is alive. And it's really funny when you see this book in the very beginning of the game. They wake up and one's a wood character, the other one's a clay figure, and they're like, what the hell is going on? And the book all of a sudden appears, and he's like, it's time to learn to work together and have some fun. And you're just like, me and my wife totally love the story and the way that it does force you to cooperate very well, because like in one part of it, one character has the ability to spray a flammable liquid, and the other character has the ability to light the match. So if you guys can't work together and figure out how to coordinate your attacks with this style of gameplay, it can go to crap real quick. So you got to be able to hose down the enemy with this flammable liquid, and then call out to the other person, say, light the match, it's time to, and it really forces you to cooperate for sure.
Oh yeah, one thing I totally forgot about. Sorry for interrupting, but guys,
I was done.
Oh no, just so it's funny you were talking about significant other, because I was like, we were playing. She really likes playing Cuphead with me, and just the other day I was like, oh, I don't know, like that DLC that I had shown you before, it might have been like, I don't know, it might be delayed even further and so on. And then lo and behold, you get a release date trailer for the DLC that we've been waiting on forever, and that's going to be in June. I just thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, I was waiting forever for the Cuphead DLC, and now it's finally out, or in June. So I was glad to get an update on that, because I thought that was dead. But
somebody asked us, I think, a question. I don't know if it was on this show, or I think it was on here. But they were asking what was going on with that, and I was like, I don't even know. But they finally got an update.
Oh yeah, because it was announced back at like what was it, when like Xbox announced all those studio acquisitions.
Yeah, it was announced as an exclusive.
Yeah, it was just kind of.
And now it's on everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I know that obviously, like every other studio, the situation affected them heavily, especially being a small studio. But eventually I thought, oh, maybe they just turned it into like Cuphead 2 or something, which, sometimes does happen with DLCs. But no, I mean, I was happy. I was very, very relieved and happy to see that, yeah, we'll be getting that Cuphead DLC again sometime in late June. So about 6 or 7 months off, guys. But either way, pretty good. But yeah, guys, overall, I mean, with the awards, I mean, Xbox did pretty good. Age of Empires 4, Best Strategy, Forza, Horizon 5 won some awards, and Deathloop. I mean, I gotta admit, I'm very intrigued with Deathloop. The more I keep hearing the praise and so on. It's funny though, they call it the Game Awards. I probably watch it more for the game reveals than the awards themselves. So
Oh, this is winter
Yeah.
E3, as I've heard a lot of people I talk to and listen to. It's being referred to as the winter E3.
mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yeah, one thing I will say though, this is brought up in the chat, is that I think Psychonauts 2 deserved a little better because I mean, I haven't beat it personally, but I mean, I played a large chunk of it through, and it is a pretty fantastic game. So I was kind of surprised that it didn't win for the best game, but maybe that's just my own bias. But either way, yeah, I mean, Psychonauts 2, a lot of people enjoyed it.
I'm
I
surprised
do-
Resident Evil Village didn't take anymore.
Say about that with Psychonauts 2. Like Psychonauts 2 to me, other than Halo Infinite, is definitely the best games I've played this year. Psychonauts 2 surprises me with the characters, the world, the premise, the themes, the level design, the creativity, the protagonist, Raz, like it all, like the fact that Tim Schafer wrote this game. I'm like, bruh, it could have literally been a Pixar movie. It was an incredible game. It was a bit longer than I expected, but other than that, I really have no complaints. Other than the fact that it doesn't have any DLC, anything to expand the world, because I would love to go back and have other stuff to do. But I think Psychonauts is an amazing game, and I can't wait for Psychonauts 3. And the fact that it didn't win anything, especially art design. Now, I agree with Sanctus. Listen, I agree, right, that literally, um, Deathloop is a game that it should have won, right? But the problem is, like, it should have won something. But art design, I think you cannot look at the creativity that came with Psychonauts with all the levels and stuff and say that is not worthy of art design at least. So, like I said, they really snubbed Psycho. Like it didn't win anything, and to me, I was more sad for Tim Schafer, because even though I know Game Pass lets millions of people play, I think he deserved for where this game came from being crowdfunded to where it is right now, to the point that he made it so amazing, and that it was like his baby, and he got nothing. It's just, I feel like, yeah, I'm happy for It Takes Two, but I think that it was a cop out. I'm sorry to say, I think they didn't want to, because there was a lot of stuff going around the Game Awards, either from the little thing with the Activision to people thinking that Sony's basically paying them off or whatever. So they didn't want to upset any fan base. They didn't want to pick a Sony game or an Xbox game. So I think they just went with the underdog of the game that nobody, because there's nobody that thought that game was going to win. We all knew it was a great game. But like I said, this is a game that requires somebody else to play. Like that alone, like if you can disqualify Forza 5 because of that, why are you not going to disqualify Forza 5 get disqualified because it's just a car game? But you have a game that you literally need somebody else, and you're going to tell me that like, come on. Like what is it? So are you going to let every game in, every genre in, yes or no? Because if you're not, this makes no sense. So if you're saying that every genre is worthy, then Forza 5 should have been up there. But my point is, I think they just copped out because they wanted to find a way to please everybody, which you can't. So they just went with because if it's Ratchet and Clank, people will accuse them of course, it's another Sony, which they are in Sony pocket. But if it was an Xbox game, then the ponies would cry and say, oh, Microsoft paid them off, they in the Microsoft theater. Like, so I think they did basically, they did that just to stop the nonsense. But that's just me. I'm sorry for talking.
No,
too much.
I actually agree with you, especially on the award for best art direction. And I'm not knocking Deathloop, but I've personally played Deathloop. I haven't beat it, but we're talking about just a different version of Dishonored. Definitely, it looks like Dishonored. I mean, some of the core mechanics of Dishonored, like the sneaking, were there. I just really feel for best art direction. I feel that definitely Psychonauts 2 was extremely creative in their art direction and just how the game itself was.
The levels are definitely one of a kind, and it definitely got snubbed for more than 1 or 2 awards. I even feel like it should have got Game of the Year. I mean, I beat the game. I'm biased. I admit that, but the game also, if they're trying to be the Oscars but for gaming, Psychonauts 2 just hit all the notes. Like, it's a great game. It's fan service for the fans of the first game, but also has things that, you know, the Oscars actually value a lot in their movies that they pick for a movie of the year. Like Psychonauts 2 has representation. It tackles issues like mental health, like all these positive, very meaningful messages that were woven into the game's storyline. Like, and I feel like it. Yeah, I agree with Xbox University. I also believe that. I feel like It Takes Two is a great game. I haven't played it, but I hear great things. I feel like it was the safe bet. Like, either one would have caused a big mess online for months to come, and I think they just did the safe bet. I always thought It Takes Two was like the artsy nomination. I didn't expect it to actually win, but hey, it is what it is.
Oh, like I think Death's Door. I would prefer Death's Door to be up there before that, because, like I said, it's a game that, by definition, you can't even play by yourself.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, whether it's a good game or whatever, my point is that is a very, very niche genre, or very, very. And I appreciate what they tried to do. Don't get me wrong. I love games trying new things and new mechanics. But my point is, for game of the year, if I'm stuck on an island by myself with no internet, I can't play this game. See what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I think it was a cop out. I think they did it on purpose, and I can't blame them, to be fair, because I mean there was no way to win in either way. But like I said, I think if you slap, I think the problem is like the fact that Ratchet and Clank was up there. I think that's just had a bull, because the Ratchet and Clank was a good game. Don't get me wrong, but my point is Ratchet and Clank did nothing that the other 16 Ratchet and Clanks didn't do, other than, I guess, the little rift apart thing that didn't even really make a big deal as how the marketing made it. But my point is, it was the same, rock 'em, shock 'em, shoot 'em up on rails experience that you always have with Ratchet and Clank, and that's not a bad thing. But my point is, for every other game, they look for, especially with Game of the Year, things that's pushing the envelope, things that you haven't experienced before. For example, like with Psychonauts 2, you haven't. How many games do you know out there tackling mental health? Not much. Like for Forza Horizon 5, how many open world, majestic, amazing games are there? Not much. Like for Resident Evil Village, how many first person survival horror games that touch all the notes are there? Not much. Like, there are games that come around that are rare in their genre, just like Halo Infinite. Like, there's a lot of FPS games, but how many are this good? None. So, like I said, when I think of Game of the Year, I'm like, what are you doing that other games either try to do and fail, or that that they can't even try? And It Takes Two, to me, yes, it is a niche type of thing, but without that being that niche, like I said, I just feel like it was a cop out. Because Death's Door I haven't played It Takes Two yet, but based on what I've seen, I've watched some gameplay and seen some. So based on what I'm seeing, I'm like, it looks like it could be a good game, but is it better than Death's Door? Is it better than Forza? Is it better than even Ratchet and Clank, for Christ's sake? I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's just too convenient, and based on what's his name, Jeff Keeley was responding to for days before the awards. Like he would keep getting harassed because people would keep doing the memes with Sony paying him off. Sony paying him off. He like, oh, get a better joke or whatever. So it was getting to him because he was reacting to it. So like I said, I feel like this was just a big advertisement thing, and I like the show. Don't get me wrong, because I watch not for the awards, I watch for the new game reviews. But I think it was a little on the light side for me personally because I don't care about most of those games. Like other than the Star Wars Eclipse, other than the Hellblade, other than of course a Plague Tale. Of course, y'all didn't mention that the Plague Tale Requiem. They're like everything else was just like it is what it is. Um, nothing else really blew me away. But that's just me. But I feel like it other than the commercials and stuff. At least I mean it's trying, but I feel like E3 is so much better than this. Like to me, this is a watered down E3. Like so it gets you so hyped because some years you see great stuff like when they announced the Xbox Series X or when they announced Hellblade or last year with Perfect Dark. Something that like if this year they came out and said Banjo Kazooie's coming back, that's what I would be talking about. But Hellblade looked amazing, but I already knew it was coming. So like I felt like they could have did this in like an update or some shit. Like how Sony has a state of play, they could have did it in an update and announced something new like that's coming down the pipe like that. Like Obsidian is working on a Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 5 is coming or something. But who knows? Like I said, that's just me. Sorry, I've been talking.
Oh no, hey, that's some really good commentary there, Uni. Anybody else have any other comments on the Game Awards before we head off?
I'm still shocked Resident Evil Village just didn't get. I don't even think they got anything other than they got the best performance, I guess, from Maggie for Lady D. But like that game, if you played that, like compared to pretty much, I haven't played It Takes Two. I've definitely tried out. But man, that has some big shoes to fill to like top. Like it's like when I went from Returnal, which was $10 more than Resident Evil Village, and I beat Returnal, and then I went to Resident Evil Village, and I'm like, okay, this game looks like it has a way bigger budget, way better put together, no issues, and it's $10 cheaper, and it's action packed, like thrill ride from start to finish. Yeah, I'm just surprised that one didn't get anything really. So, but especially some of those horror scenes. There's definitely that horror scene for everybody that's played it. Like towards that middle part, that's like some of the creepiest that they've ever done in Resident Evil. So, yeah, Dollhouse, yeah,
yeah.
And it wasn't even the dolls to me, but yeah, you'll know the part once you play it. But
yeah, I've watched some gameplay on that. It's really creepy. But all right, guys, I think on that note, we'll start to clear out of here. And a fun time here tonight with the crew. We talked about our thoughts on Halo Infinite and the reception it's been getting, as well our reaction to everything at the Game Awards, reveals, gameplay, the actual awards, and so on. Guys in the chat, you were great. As always, we're very pleased to see every one of you tonight. If you enjoyed tonight's show, then consider leaving a like, subbing to the channel, and sharing this video out. Believe it or not, it does help out the channel a lot, all that little stuff that you do. So, hey, please continue with it. We really appreciate the support. But yeah, let's move over to the outros, starting off with our delightful guest, Uni Buddy. It was, again, a fun time having you on tonight. Really liked your opinions on things. Where can all the fine people here follow you at?
The Xbox Universe is DA Xbox Universe on Twitter. Definitely. Starting next week, we're gonna start our new podcast, X Class as well. So but I'll always be coming back and forth anytime they want me here on TXR because these are my buddies. I love it. The Xbox community is the best community in gaming, and we keep it positive, we keep it about gaming, and right now we're eating more than we can ever eat. And remember, the gunk is next week, man, and I can't wait for shredders and stuff in the next month or so. So I want to thank y'all for letting me come back and rock with y'all, man, and enjoy Halo, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said, Uni, and yeah, it was great having you on. You are fun to have on, like what you said, and you're a very honest guy, well spoken, and yeah, we got to have you on sometime soon for sure. Let's see, moving on to the regular panel members. General MLD, buddy, I'll start off with you here. Hey, again, some solid points tonight. Where can everybody follow you at?
All right, good show. At MLD Ghost is my Twitter. Gamertag is Ghost MLD. And yeah, just looking forward to playing more Halo campaign. They're going to inject some new life into that multiplayer with those new modes. And Centurion, before I forget, if you haven't played Alan Wake yet, play Alan Wake American Nightmare. It's like a 1.5, 2-hour kind of sequel, so it's very small, bite-sized. I recommend playing that first. So, yeah. Good show, guys.
Yeah, that was good. I played the crap out of that too. Really good suggestion there, MLD. Let's see here. Shockley, buddy. Again, you were really on point tonight as well. Loved your stuff. Where can everybody follow you at and find you, my friend?
As always, you can find me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. But yeah, great for you and you stopping by, giving us points, and yeah, good show tonight.
Yeah, well said. Tim, the Xbox Maniac, buddy, good show. Where can everybody find you at?
You can find me on Twitter, XcloudTimdog, every Sunday night here and Tuesday night RDX. Have a nice weekend or what's left of it, and let's go Halo.
Yeah, let's go Halo. Centurion, my well-spoken brother. Good stuff tonight as well. And where can these fine folks follow you at and find your videos, your content, and so on?
Oh, yes, definitely an amazing show. Had a really fun time tonight. Thank you, MLD. I want to actually play all of Alan Wake, the first one and American Nightmare. I was a huge fan of Control. And they kind of exposed me to a little bit of the world of Alan Wake by just playing the game. So I definitely want to check that out before Alan Wake 2 comes out. For those interested in finding my content, I am firing up the content mill again. It's been long enough. Finally got the things that have been holding me back kind of dialed in at this point. So ready to start doing that again. If you'd like to find me and the content I've already put out, you can find it at Centurion1307 on YouTube. Of course, you can find me on Twitter and Xbox Live if you want to keep up to date with me, especially follow me on Twitter because I'm always on there active, chatting with everybody and advertising what I do. For those that want to hear me podcast more, I'm here every Sunday night with these amazing gentlemen right here on TXR. I'm also on the Shop Podcast every Saturday night with PTK Blam and the rest of the crew over there. And also every other Monday, me and Stubbs Gaming have been having our little conversations on something we call plastic platforms. We're getting ready again to do it again tomorrow. And it's kind of, at least in my opinion, it's a little different because it's me and just him. We just talk about our dealings in gaming. And the one thing that really sets it apart, in my opinion, is there's like a 7 to 8 hour time difference between me and him. He's over in the UK, I'm over here, so it's really fun to hear the differences in gaming between our two cultures, our two worlds, especially how things go down over there when it comes to, like, we were talking the other day about how games are sold over here versus over there. I mean, it's really fun to just clash ideas off of each other, especially from two different perspectives.
All right, well, you heard the man.
Shameless plug, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Definitely check out those fellas. And to round this out quickly, I'm Invader, and all of you wonderful people can find my content over on YouTube at Invader Gaming. I had recently put out an unboxing video, and I have another one planned, as well as, of course, I had mentioned earlier, Halo Infinite review in the works. Still playing the game, but I want to put one out before Christmas. Good show tonight, and we will see you all here